everyone, and welcome to the Propcast. My name is Louisa Dickens, co-founder of LMRE and board director of the UKPA, and I shall be your weekly host. Each week for 30 minutes, we'll be connecting the VCs, prop tech startups, and real estate professionals globally, and assist in bridging that famous communication gap we all love talking about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, Naqash, and hi, Imran, and welcome to the Propcast. Today's interview is going to be on real estate investment management technology. How are you both this morning?
Thank you, Lou, for I'm doing great. Couldn't be more happy. I mean, we have a great weather. We just finished our fasting. So all good.
Nice. And Imran, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Obviously, the lockdown doesn't seem to affect Naqash. I'm doing pretty well, in these strange times, just trying to be positive. And me and Naqash have both been fasting as well, so it's quite good to actually have some breakfast at a normal time this morning.
Nice. For those listeners who haven't spoken with or met or sort of heard either of them sort of speak at events, Naqash is the director of PGIM Real Estate, head of systems for Europe, and product manager for the Asia region. He's responsible for technology strategy, digital transformation, innovation, and prop tech for continental Europe, and overseeing various projects in Asia. And Naqash is a prop tech advisor, mentor, and represents and speaks at various technology events around Europe. Naqash began his career 15 years ago developing solutions primarily for real estate, and has a bachelor's degree in mathematics and computer science, and is currently pursuing his MBA. Now, Imran is the European head of business technology for LaSalle Investment Management. And prior to that, he was at PwC. Imran has overall responsibility for all aspects of technology services into LaSalle's European business, leading business critical technology projects and driving the technology strategy for this region. He's also a critical member of the global project team that is leading the digital transformation of LaSalle's business. Imran has a bachelor's degree in mathematics and management studies and is a qualified chartered accountant. Together, Naqash and Imran founded a ReamTech Association, which we'll hear and learn more about later on the Propcast. But like I said, welcome Imran and welcome Naqash. Before we get started, I thought we could have a little bit of a warm-up round. Now, as we have two people on the Propcast, I will aim each question at one of you and you answer with a one-word answer. So let's kick start. Now you just finished fasting. Naqash, what's your breakfast of choice?
Oh, tea with biscuits.
Okay, perfect. Imran, cats or dogs?
Oh, definitely cats. I'm scared of dogs.
Niche. Okay, Naqash, what is your biggest strength?
Memory. I memorize things quite quickly, I think.
Okay, Imran, what's your biggest weakness?
I think my boss might be listening to this. Obviously, I don't have any.
Perfect. Okay, so this is aimed at both of you. You both have, both of your track record in sort of achievements is pretty impressive. Naqash, if you weren't in the space you're in now, what other career would you have done?
I would have been a cricketer, I think. Yeah.
And Imran?
I wish I'd been a cricketer, but I would have probably been a doctor.
Nice. Both sort of equally impressive. Okay, Brill. Well, I think we are ready to get started. So I guess, Naqash, do you want to kick us off with how did you and Imran, start ReamTech? How did you start it? What is ReamTech for those listeners who aren't familiar? And who is part of it?
So it was by chance. About 4 years ago, me and our CEO, PGIM, and the CEO, they met up, and after the meeting, I think I had a regular catch up, and she mentioned Naqash. I had a catch up with the CEO, very interesting discussions, but most of our time was spent on talking technology. So we thought it'd be a good idea for you to meet and see if you can just share something together, and maybe it may help you with your projects and stuff like that. I said, okay, that's a good idea. So we set up a half an hour catch up, and we really hit it off, honestly. And me and Imran were facing similar issues, similar products in the market, similar kind of people coming and pitching to us. So we said, okay, it might be a good idea to just meet up. So kindly, Imran and his boss at this time, they invited me for a lunch. So I went for lunch and we really discussed in detail. Actually, we all can benefit from it. I have some links and contacts in real estate, and Imran also has. So why don't we try to really start something in that aspect? So it just really kicked off after that. I think we spent about two months to just reach out to our contacts. First meeting, Imran hosted it at LaSalle. We had about 10 people, I believe. We only had 1 hour meeting. And then now, 4 years after, we have 30 plus members, companies, and 40 plus active people are participating into it. And yeah, our meetings run for 3 hours. And Lou, you've been to a few meetings, and we always run out of time, because a lot of roundtable discussions, a lot of everyone chips in, really open and transparent. One of the guys actually joined us recently. He said, "I'm really surprised and shocked at how open and transparent you guys are with each other. It's really, really refreshing for our industry, and we really, really like it, and they really enjoyed it." So I think that's what really unique about our Reamtech, I would say, is that we really open to showcase our failures and also them as just successes. So I think Imran talk about what is the goal here and what we're trying to do in the future, but that's a bit of background where Reamtech started.
Yeah. And how does it? So if I run an investment management company fund, how does one join this sort of exclusive group? How does someone, join your sort of meetings? How do people sort of hear about it? Naqash?
Word to mouth. Honestly, it has been word to mouth. And of course, I think when we start sharing, I think the stuff on LinkedIn, people start noticing more. Recently, every other meeting we have 3-4 new people joined. They normally reach out. I currently chair it, but in the past, me and Imran have chaired it. So together, either one of us or any member of the group, people can reach out, and then they will reach out to us, and we will basically include them into our group. We do have some questions, for example, making sure that they can participate and they can give us time every quarter and stuff like that. But also we only accept big companies which are real estate investment management companies. We don't accept from the property company or if it's a consulting firm, etc. So it's only really focused on for this group.
Yeah, make sure, I guess, the group's actually focused. So, Imran, what would you say the main goal, or say top 3 goals of this group is to sort of summarize?
Yeah, I think the first goal really is networking, and I think that's what Naqash really alluded to was. I think there isn't really from a real estate investment management, in particular from a UK perspective, where both Naqash and I are based, there wasn't really a kind of an industry body really for us, for professionals who led technology at those organizations. So that was something that we really wanted to try and build, especially as when Naqash and I met, which was actually, didn't mention it was over a curry. So I think a lot of great things start with a curry. So we were talking about the same issues. We'd met the same people. We were dealing with the same software vendors. We had the same challenges. So it was really kind of to build that network was I think the primary goal. I think the second goal really was in terms of because there was no real industry body, and I think some of the big software vendors probably wouldn't want to hear this, but each of us was going back to them with our own issues, and they really held the power. And it shouldn't really be like that because we're the clients. But what this kind of Reamtech has allowed us to do now is actually go back with one voice. And I think Naqash and myself and a few other investment firms, we've already reaped the benefits because there's software that we're all using that we've actually gone back now and said, this is an issue that we're all facing, and it's actually led to that specific issue being resolved. And without us all going back as a collective, that would never happen. And I think the last thing really is just to have that joined up approach really in terms of as an industry. I think, we'll probably touch on it later in terms of some of the challenges we're facing, but to actually join the dots up and try and have a collective approach, I think in the long term as the industry is going to help everyone.
Yeah. Naqash, have you got sort of anything else that you'd like to add? Any sort of fourth goal or
I mean, I think it's just exactly what Imran said. I think, number one, networking. Number two, sharing the knowledge and pain points with each other. Number three, I have a one voice to the market, as Imran says. And I think the fourth one, I think we really want to go forward with that. It's really how to drive innovation and really make a change how we work in real estate today. I think we have enough influence in our group that we can do it. There are a lot of things that we are thinking about. For example, we're looking at data standards, how we can actually, enforce some sort of data standards we can come up with, or we can work with an external group to create one, and that can be adopted in the industry. So I think a lot of projects, industry-based projects, I think we can do going forward, and we will be looking to do that in the future.
Yeah, and I guess so outside of your association, what do you reckon Reem can bring to, I guess, the outside prop tech community? I guess whether it's, say, startups or whether it's sort of the software companies. Obviously, you give your sort of feedback about, what sort of change they need to do with their sort of products. But Imran, what would you say that Reem gives to the outside prop tech community?
I think one is in terms of if there's a great idea, if it's brought to that table. In terms of AUM in say the UK real estate investment market, Naqash may have the kind of percentage that is around that Reem Tech table, but it's a very high percentage in terms of you've got a lot of big players who are part of Reem Tech. So if there's great ideas, and it's actually interesting, sometimes that prop tech firm doesn't actually have to be at the meeting. I think if somebody's seen something that has really, taken their fancy, they will mention it in that meeting, and everyone's there kind of taking notes. We follow Chatham rules. So I think, as Naqash said, it's very, very open, and that's why people have, and firms have enjoyed participating, because there's a lot of knowledge that you can gain as part of that you'd never hear if you weren't part of that group. So if there's a great solution out there, someone will mention it, someone will take down a name, and that prop tech firm will then get exposure that they may never have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, well, I've seen that happen sort of firsthand. I've been sat at some of your meetings and sort of see whether it's been like Coyote or another sort of business pitching their product to you, and you've got about 30, CTOs around this table and sort of firing questions at the CEO. It's quite something to watch, but I guess if ever there was a platform or a good platform for them to sort of pitch to, it's quite something. What would you say? So obviously you guys must have various startups or prop tech sort of pitching to you. Now, everyone is looking to develop the perfect product. The perfect product doesn't exist, and God knows when it will. So what would you say, Naqash, this one will go to you. What would you say the biggest challenge facing real estate is now? When I said that you guys had spoken about sort of like unified sort of dashboard, if I'm a startup, I need to create a product, what would you say Reem Tech is looking for?
The biggest challenge for us right now, real estate industry, and has been for a number of years, is data. And data quality. I think our data frequency is still quite, long. We're doing a quarterly basis reporting, and in some monthly basis, but still, I think it's still not, frequent enough. Our data quality is still not as good as compared to other industries. Our integration is an API. A lot of technologies, they talk about having an API and, be able to seamlessly connect, but when it comes to really realistically, that doesn't happen. So I think, I have. This is one of the biggest challenges that we have currently in real estate, and I would advise. I think what I find sometimes a bit frustrating with working with some of the startups is that they have a very good product, but they don't have the knowledge of real estate and how real estate work. So they might come to pitch it to us and say, "This is, we worked on it for the last couple of years," but it's very frustrating that they haven't spoken to a real estate person, someone who's actually working in the industry, and can tell them, look, this would not work for us because of certain rules and regulations or certain way that we work. So if a company comes and solves that problem of integration with different systems and also integration with different vendors, then I think they will be the ones to go for in the future.
Yeah. Imran, would you agree with this?
Yeah, I definitely think data, and I think it's actually a wider point than just for prop tech firms, because I think as an industry, it's one of the reasons why maybe we've been kind of, as an industry, kind of laggards in terms of this kind of digital transformation, is because it's been a very closed industry. Even some of the kind of the major software houses, as we as an organization have tried to kind of digitize our business, when you actually engage with some of the kind of incumbent software vendors, for them to actually open up their systems, it's it's like you're talking apples and oranges, and there's other industries who are way ahead of us. And I think the actual concern for some of the incumbent software houses is if that they don't open up their systems, there's going to be prop tech firms out there that will come up and eat up their market share very quickly.
Naqash, you mentioned about when you're, there's some great products out there, but, you're sort of shocked when, say, they haven't even spoken to a real estate professional before to find out, what is the actual problem they're trying to solve or understand what's sort of needed in the industry. I'm sure the audience, everyone loves hearing a good story. So what would you say is the worst prop tech pitch you've had? Obviously, you don't have to name names of the company, but what did they do wrong and why was it so terrible?
I think, I think you've seen it firsthand. I think whenever somebody pitches to us, we definitely we have very candid feedback, and we will give our genuine feedback on where we think that things are going wrong, and especially to me, I don't really like to praise if I see that there are definitely certain issues within the product, because I think a good and genuine feedback and constructive feedback will definitely help the companies to grow. And I think one of the worst one I had, every time I said to him, look, I think you should be doing this way. He said, "Oh no, Naqash, you don't know. I know this. I know this." One is fine, but throughout the pitch, and he was like always not happy when I was criticizing the product. Really not criticizing, like constructive feedback. He was not happy at all, and I think I just wanted to finish too.
I guess, I guess co-founders or CEOs, they're so close to their product they've developed for ages. And sometimes they just need to say, you know what, this is constructed. These are the guys I need to sell to. Let's take this on board and just not be so close to it. It's not personal. It must be quite hard for people to sort of keep that sort of detachment from it.
I do a lot of, I do a lot of mentoring for prop tech companies, and I think most of them, I find them very, very. I think they take a lot of input and they want to understand. I think what we think of the product. I think which is good, but that was one of those times where I just thought it was the right. It was not the. I think I shouldn't be giving feedback, or I just should stop the meeting. I just say, look, I think you already know much about your product. I'm not sure why you're showing it to me.
But both you and Imran and I guess the rest of the association, you have your sort of day-to-day jobs. You want to obviously push forward of innovation within your businesses, but I guess how much time do you have in your day or your week or your month to start up sort of pitching to you? Imran, how many pitches do you reckon you've had in the past sort of year, past 12 months to LaSalle?
I probably couldn't say a number. I think, I know my inbox gets completely smashed. I think we're really trying to focus time and be kind of laser focused on the actual solutions out there. And I think one of the issues, I think just going back to what Naqash has said, I think sometimes you get kind of prop tech solutions where you before even you get them in, you kind of, even the information they've sent to you it's a kind of a solution, but you're not sure what problem it's solving. And I think that's really the key. So I think for these kind of prop tech firms, I think the kind of the advice I would really give is, before going, I think a lot of them are, they want to get a kind of a return on investment, but I think the real focus should be to be, rather than going out and casting a wide net, to really go and try and find, say, one business partner. So I think what Naqash was saying in terms of speaking to someone who actually has real estate knowledge, and maybe going back to one of my other points in terms of, I think there's other firms, industries that have really taken that leap in terms of digital. So maybe some of the prop tech firms are kind of coming from other industries, but to actually find that business partner who has from real estate, who can actually work with you and work in a partnership to actually help you develop your product, and actually only go to the market when your product has been road tested. Because one of the questions I always ask, when I get a prop tech firm in, one of the questions always is, okay, fine, who are you working with? Who have you spoken to? Is there someone that is helping you develop your product? And if it's just no, and it's kind of just vaporware that I'm hearing, I haven't really got time at the moment to help someone develop a tool if it's not really something that's going to help me. If I'm meeting someone, they say, oh, I've spoken to PGIM, they're helping me develop the product. I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. Maybe, I don't need to hold your hand. And we've actually done that. So, I mean, we did, not to kind of drop name. I mean, this is a name out there in the market, Voyanta. We worked with Voyanta, when they were actually a prop tech firm before they were bought by Autos. And what that really helped us to do, as well as bringing benefits from the Voyanta side, it actually helped us tailor that product to meet our requirements. And that's the real benefit I think that prop tech firms can do, is if they find the right business partner, it's a kind of a symbiotic relationship that both parties can really get benefits out of it. And I think maybe sometimes the prop tech firms are not thinking that way. Yeah.
Naqash, have you got anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, question on number of pitches. I mean, I would say, at least two a week I get. I mean, and sometimes, and that's not even my main job. My main job is to drive the digital innovation within the company, digital transformation, and various projects across Europe and the APAC region. And that's like maybe, I think, 10% of my job, like looking at the innovative solutions and stuff like that. So, two a week, and I think I'm kind of trying to spread it across a number of weeks. What I struggle with, number one, is actually, I think when I said, what is the solution? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? I think I struggle with that all the time. I say, okay, this is my solution, but what is the problem here? What you're trying to solve. So my advice to PropTech is, and a lot of companies that come and pitch to the Dream Tech, and I give them a very certain kind of strategy and how they come and pitch the product. I would say, number one, always focus on the problem, and also your research into the problem and what is the market kind of situation when it comes to, For example, if it's a deal management solution, so what is happening there? So what are the issues with deal? How many deals are going through, and what is the issue when it comes to signing of a deal? So where we can add value, and maybe right at the end, maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, then show your product and say, okay, this is the solution we have. Because you only have like 30 minutes to pitch to the Dream Tech group, or I only will get 30 minutes with the prop tech. So you need to really focus on problem rather than the solution, because I think once you understand the problem, the solution will become easier to, I would say, digest from our perspective, and we know what you're trying to solve from us.
So out of various pitches, or I'm sure you guys have been piloting some prop techs as well. Imran, have you seen any success stories of products in the market, whether you sort of trialed, personally with your business, whether it's say a different sort of software, a property management system? Yeah. What's your, any sort of success stories in the market?
I think the biggest one do you want me to give names?
Go for it.
Or talk generally. Yeah, I think the biggest success for us, and I mentioned it before, was kind of Voyanta, which maybe now doesn't seem like a prop tech solution, but kind of was at the time. I think there's other firms that I think are very interesting. I think definitely Coyote is definitely one of them. Yeah. That I think has a lot of legs. I think those are probably the ones that start, but there's a whole host really. And I think in terms of, I think for me, if you talk about property management, I think the incumbents are very strong. So I haven't really seen anything in the kind of the property management side that kind of has made me kind of stand out, because I think that area is so specialized that is really challenging. But I think one of the areas that I would actually love to see kind of solutions is around I think there's two. I think one is actually on the kind of the real estate specific workflow tool. So I think Coyote is one, but I think there's a lot of opportunities in that area. And I think another one is actually a portfolio management tool, which I think as us as a business is crying out. And I actually haven't seen, tools out there that fully meet our requirements that aren't kind of just super complex. There are some tools out there, but as a business, and I'm sure Naqash is the same, there's a lot of Excel in our industry. But I think as organizations, we really want to move away from Excel for obviously the obvious reasons. And I think the solutions out there at the moment they're better than Excel, but also in some ways worse. So I think that's a real area, and I haven't really seen that opportunity yet, but I think that is an opportunity in the industry.
Yeah, well, it's sort of fingers crossed it's sort of yet to come. Naqash, what about you? Any sort of success stories or products which you've been sort of really impressed by?
So yeah, I'll mention a few names. I think I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say any names, but I'll mention it. And I mean, I think as Imran said, I think when it comes to, I look at different buckets within the investment management. So look at asset management bucket. I think, of course, I think we also are a big client of Vanta, and I've been working with Imran and other Dream Tech groups to really give our feedback to Vanta group, and they have taken that feedback. I would say, I mean, they come to whenever we call them as a group, and they really showcase their roadmap. And we have actually, in the meeting, we have also changed their roadmap if we need it. So I think Vanta definitely is for us a success story. But I mean, they are, of course, I think when it comes to deal management, as Imran mentioned, I think Coate has done quite a lot of work. I think they have a good product. They're also building their managed service side, but I believe deal management is quite good and stable. I don't see anyone competing that. I mean, Argus Altos are also building their Argus Acquire product there, and then there's of course DealPath that's coming out of US perspective.
Yeah.
For example, on the I mean, apart from Vanta, I would say, of course, I think mentioned Coate. Then you have Asati. I think I like the product out of Nordic, and then the real paid product PAM. I think on the document management and AI, I think a lot of things are happening there, and I think we had Leverton, but now we have from like Ivana coming up. I think they've done. I like the product. I think it's quite good. They bring AI, data extraction, document, and workflow together in one product. Something that I think will be very, very good and interesting for the market. And then, of course, we have the Archidrive and other products. And also, I think the data collection and data validation tool. I mean, I really like what Proda are doing. I think they have a very good product. I think really bringing the AI to life, I would say. We hear this word quite a lot, but I don't see a lot of product that are actually using the AI technology. So I think they bring the AI to the industry, especially when it comes to data. And as I mentioned earlier, I think data is a big problem and in the industry. So if they are able to deliver on their promises and their product, then I think that will be great. And we also have, I think, RealX Data out of Germany. They do exactly, pretty similar to Proda. But that's where we see. I think as I mentioned, on the portfolio side, of course, Argus is the main player, and then you have the MRI product and also Anaplan. But I think I recently saw Dashflow is out of Australia. It's not really a portfolio tool, but it's like they do a quick appraisals and deal cash flow projections, etc. So I think that will be interesting to see how that. We're still very early stage. Yeah, I think if I missed anyone, please, I apologize for that. But I think these are some of the things. I think some of the prop techs I think are doing good, and I look forward to their journeys. I think
I guess how they sort of change. But like you both sort of listed prop techs from just I guess across the world, and that's the sort of beauty of it. It's amazing to see. What US players are going to come over here, but vice is sort of versa, and everyone's sort of taking their sort of risks and. Yeah, well, we'll see sort of who sort of comes out top, and it's not going to sort of change in the next sort of year or two. So it'll be interesting.
I think the VTS. I think they've done quite a remarkable job. How can I not mention them? I think they've done quite on the lease side. I think on the leasing perspective, definitely. I think they are going places, and they definitely want to watch for us.
Yeah, for sure. But what about? Sorry, carry on.
The companies who are able to, I think, be more flexible with their roadmaps and then listen to the client feedback, and also the companies that are actually open to partnering with other companies. Yeah. I think as Imran alluded, a lot of incumbents, they are quite closed shops. They don't want to interact with other smaller prop techs or other solutions. They want to build the solution themselves. I think the way we can actually grow this prop tech industry is actually being able to collaborate more. And I think more collaboration happens, I think better for a client, us, because we actually have one solution. We have actually multiple solutions in one product rather than have multiple product and multiple solutions. So I think whoever actually is able to do that is going to be the winner, I think, after this.
Yeah. I think, one thing which after sort of interviewing various people, everyone says collaboration is key from all sorts of angles, whether it's sort of startups to associations, just the sharing of sort of information, the sharing of sort of data, which seems to be what everyone's sort of talking about at the moment. Is there anything that you two would, Naqash or Imran, you guys would like to sort of add for the end of the Propcast?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we're at a very interesting time in an industry, and I think that's why, Naqash and I, probably a year or so, we thought about this whole kind of Ream Tech and bringing it together. But I think it's just snowballing, and I mean, we're at a crazy time in the world. But I think as we kind of come out of that, the momentum will build again. And I think there's a lot of opportunities in our industry. I mean, we're seeing it at LaSalle where we're trying to bring in people out of real estate to bring their expertise in to help drive us as a business forward. And I think from the prop tech world, I think I'm seeing that, but I think that's only going to happen more. And I think there's a huge opportunity, but I think just making sure that the solution meets, what we need as an industry, I think that's going to be the key. But the opportunities are right, and there are real gaps in the market that there's still people can come in and really make a difference.
Yeah, completely agree. Naqash, anything else you'd like to sort of add?
Yeah, I would say, I think Imran just mentioned, I would say there's still a lot of gaps, especially when it comes to asset management and asset management. I think we say vertical. There are a lot of gaps we see in the market, and still I don't see a lot of solution coming in that space, or there's not a lot of competition there. So I think there's definitely speak to real estate professionals, speak to us, speak to Ream Tech. And we can give you the ideas where I think we think that the industry is lacking, and definitely will add great value to the whole industry.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Naqash and Imran, thank you so much for coming on the Propcast. It's been fantastic learning, I guess, about Ream Tech, how it's developed over the years, to your sort of members, your sort of learnings and taking from it, and how you're sort of sharing information. So hopefully this property technology industry, we can sort of all move forward together. I'm sure various startups will appreciate the do's and don'ts of prop tech pitching, and obviously the key learnings from this, the importance of data, sharing of information, and what products are really sort of needed in the market. And I guess the importance of flexibility and roadmaps and collaboration. Let's just do one last question to wrap up this interview. Another sort of silly question for the listeners. Naqash, you can kickstart it. You are allowed 2 dinner party guests to the ultimate dinner party you're hosting. Actually, you guys, you're hosting a dinner party together, so you're both allowed together 4 dinner party guests. Naqash, who are your 2 people you'd invite? And Imran, who are the 2 people you would invite? Naqash, you can kickstart it.
Well, that's a difficult one. I'll definitely invite Imran to it. That's definitely a difficult one. I think I'll have a lot of people not happy with me if I mention a couple of names. But I think, I would say my boss. I think she's very supportive of me, and I think what we do, definitely. And my mentor. So I would definitely invite a couple of those guys in.
Yeah.
Naqash is going for the career progression approach.
I know. I was just thinking. Naqash is looking at his end of year bonus. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm just going for, if I had the opportunity for anyone, I think the career is one thing, but you can pick anyone. One would be Imran Khan, who I was named after him by my dad. So he was always been my dad's idol from a cricketing perspective, and he's the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So I would invite him as one. And second one, I would say I'm kind of struggling with the second one. I'd maybe still carry on from a sporting theme and say Jurgen Klopp, because I'm a massive football fan, and we've had an awesome season, and I support Liverpool, so I would say those 2.
We wouldn't.
My wife would be very happy.
Right, Naqash, other than inviting your boss and mentor, you have one invite left. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be a sport professional? Is it going to be a musician? Is it going to be a famous chef? Is it going to be a family member?
I think, yeah. I mean, so one of the biggest the motivation in my life has been my dad. I think I've seen him, struggle, and I mean, go up to a level he's now at. I would definitely, I think I would say I have my dad there.
Yeah.
I think he has been my inspiration. Everything, whenever I get stuck, I ask him for advice. So yeah, definitely have him there. I mean, and I think, yeah, also I think Imran Khan, as Imran mentioned, I think he's also, and anyone who's grew up as a cricketing fan or cricketing would have him. He's kind of ideal because I think his determination and where he led to. I mean, really a very mediocre team actually. In 1992, and they went on to win the World Cup. So I think, yeah, it was definitely.
Yeah, I sort of feel like when some startups start pitching to you guys, they're going to start mentioning various, like, I don't know what cricketers they know or sort of sport teams they sort of they like to sort of get some brownie points of you. But
I think I've given away. I think I've given away the keys to my heart, really.
Yeah,
so,
literally. But on to Naqash and Imran, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both on the Propcast. And yeah, no, looking forward to sharing this with all the listeners out there. But yeah, thank you. And we will share links to how you can learn more about, I guess, Dream Tech, Naqash and Imran at the end of this podcast. But thank you guys both.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Lou. And thanks all the listeners. Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Propcast. And a big thanks to our special guests. Make sure you visit our website, www.lmre.co.uk, where you can subscribe to our show, or you'll find us on iTunes and Spotify, where all good content is found. Whilst you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate if you could rate and review us on iTunes, or if you simply just spread the word. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday, and I'll catch you later.
You're listening to a podcast company podcast. This was made by Podcast Syndicator, where we help you go from start to grow to making money with your podcast. Let us help you share your message and your voice with the world. Reach out now, Jason at podcastsyndicator.com or Brett at podcastsyndicator.com to find out more. Thank you for listening, and do come back to hear nothing but the best podcasts.